What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my college basketball preseason top 25. We got a lot of offseason changes, transfer portals, players moving to the draft, so on and so forth. Big mix up this year. But before I get into it, subscribe to our channel to be entered into our giveaway at 500 subscribers. And we'll start with 25 through 21. And the team that pops out to me most here is Illinois, coming in at 24 in my rankings. And that's because this team played Kansas, who you'll see later in this video, and they beat them in an exhibition game before the season starts. And that's a big win for them. This Illini team, has been consistently around this point, sneaking in tournaments at 9, 10 seeds and not really doing much, but maybe this is the year they make some noise. And I know it's early, but it's something to look at. And then you have other Big Ten opponent, Wisconsin. They're not in the AP or coaches poll, but they're right there. And I think I put them in just because of how well this team plays year in and year out. And then same with SMC and San Diego State. These two teams, are known to be good. Even though they aren't in Power 5 conferences, they're known to be very good and get a lot of wins. And then, of course, I got to talk about Bama. Bama, every year, a very dominant team, and it's kind of hard to leave them out after what they've done these last few years. So they're more than deserving of the top 25 spot. Now, 20 through 16 is where we get a lot of interchangeable. Baylor staying at 20, just like they are in the AP poll. Villanova and UNC are two teams that I think could really make a run at this thing this year. They just need to see how they perform when they get to conference play, and especially UNC with Baycott. 17 and 16 are the Aggies and the Hurricanes. And Miami, well, they're one of those teams that I think could sneak up on you in the ACC. And yeah, they're in the top 25, but I don't think they're getting talked about enough. And same with those Aggies in the SEC. There's a team every year in the SEC that has a very dominant run that not a lot of people see coming. And I think the Aggies can be that team this year. 15 through 11. And this is where you get your heavyweights, Kentucky, Texas, Gonzaga. Obviously, they're good every year. And these teams have been dominant for the last however many years. But then you get teams like Arkansas and Arizona that have really come to their own these last few years and really have started to make runs at it. The Must Bus in Arkansas, they've just been dominant these last few years with some Elite Eight runs. Arizona looking to finally break the curse and really push through and get a championship. But then you got, as I said, Gonzaga, Texas, Kentucky, all looking to not just get in the top 10, but finish this year in at least a Final Four appearance. 10 through 6, this is where you find your last year's champions and the runner-ups and the Final Four and the teams that should have made it. And the teams that should have made it, in my opinion, were Creighton and Marquette. They had two really good runs, but it just wasn't enough in March Madness. And then Tennessee, yet another disappointment, didn't get to the Elite Eight and whatnot, and so on and so forth. They just need to finally get over that hump. The two teams that did, FAU and UConn, and FAU is returning a lot of starters. They're looking really good this year. Should breeze through their conference and coast to at least a top 25 ranking when it's all said and done. Then UConn with Bobby Hurley. Let's see if they can repeat that performance, go back to back. It hasn't been done in a while. But hey, they're ranked this high yet again. They're hopeful that it could happen in that conference. There's no team in the Big East. I mean, Marquette's at 7, obviously, and Creighton's at 9. But besides those teams right now, I don't see any teams competing with them. Maybe Villanova and St. John's could squeak in there, and Providence as well. And I know that conference is a big conference where they're all big and jumbled up. And someone's going to come out on top, and I think UConn or Marquette's going to be that team. Then the top 5, just like you expected, but in different orders than we've seen in the AP poll, coaches poll, other people's power rankings as well. I have Houston in the top 5. A lot of people have them outside, but I think they deserve that after what they've done in recent years and just consistency of being good. At 4, Michigan State, one of the older rosters in college basketball, but Tom Izzo knows how to coach these guys, and they've played under him for so long that it's just destined to see that this team becomes really good. At 3, you have Zach Edey and Purdue. He returns, and if Edey's on the court fully healthy, that team is going to be tough to beat. At 2, Kyle Filipowski and Duke, they're looking to get back to their title dominance that they've had in 10, 15 years, and John Shire would win his first as the coach. And then, of course, I have Kansas, and, well, they added my guy, Hunter Dickinson from Michigan. And that team didn't really need Dickinson because they were going to be top 10 team regardless, but adding Dickinson immediately in my books, put them at number one, and a lot of other people as well. But make sure you guys come back next week. To see my week 2 rankings and where we are at college basketball, what teams are getting upset already, and with some good matchups coming up with some in-season tournaments. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.